Greetings and welcome back to the Osha Cerese Show. I'm your host, Osha Cerese, and this is your daily reset of me. This is where culture meets coaching, where healing meets headlines, and where we utilize alchemy to transmute gossip into growth. Again, I'm Osha Cerese. I'm a certified life coach, event curator, and your dream doula, helping to support you with birthing your ideas to life. So thank you all for joining me. This is episode 26. We're going strong. The commitment to show up every day in the month of February. We were doing it here before midnight again. It wasn't intended to be a late night show, but you never know. That's why it's important for you to make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Go to youtube.com/@OshaCerese if you are watching on Instagram, because it's not going to always stream on Instagram. This show lives on YouTube. So make sure you are subscribed. If you're just so happen to coming across this live stream, make sure you not only subscribe to the channel, but you also hit the bell so you can get those notifications alerting you when I am live. This is a pop-up show as of right now. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Oh, child. I almost didn't. I ain't gonna say I didn't make it. Almost didn't make it to the show, but I almost was a little bit too emotional to get on the show, and I'm gonna tell you why in a minute. Now, the drink of the evening is alarming me a little bit. I made this juice earlier. It's giving blood. When I just went to the refrigerator, it was in a mason jar, and when I went to shake it up, it didn't move. I'm like, what the heck? So this has beets, blueberries, grapefruit, and lime in it. Why that combination? That was the only produce I had in the refrigerator. And yeah. So the blueberries gave it a little thick consistency. Like when I juiced the blueberries, apparently blueberries ain't got that much juice in it, because they came out as it almost came out like smoothie consistency. So that's why I'm thinking this is kind of thick. So I'm hoping I'm not thrown off by the texture of this, but we gonna see. Don't know what it tastes like either. But anyway, cheers to happiness, great health, healing, love, success, and abundance. Cheers. I gotta chew this juice. The taste is not bad, but the texture is diabolical. We're gonna do what we can. All right. Anyway, speaking of healing, again, I'm a life coach, certified life coach. I support individuals on their journey of healing, self-love, and self-discovery. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today, because I'm going to share a part of my healing journey with you all that I'm on currently, right now as we speak. But before we get into that, again, it's February, it's Black History Month. We are highlighting and spotlighting Black history all month and beyond. So today's Black History Month spotlight of the day, I wanted to talk about ownership in the Black community and our history throughout the years of ownership. Just a quick little history. You got to do your research to go in depth. But when we think of ownership, we initially think of in America, I would say, because who knows what all we owned and had back in Africa. I'm sure ownership was, it wasn't even probably set up like that, because it's like we're not thinking about owning something because this is just ours. Like, it's ours, it's our land, we're living off the land, we have villages, communities, and there were kings and people that were above others, maybe in the, hierarchy or whatever, that maybe owned it. I don't know. I'm really talking about post slavery. So the first thing that we think of is the promise of the 40 acres and a mule. So after the Civil War, formerly enslaved Black Americans were promised 40 acres and a mule. Well, 40 acres of land at the bare minimum. But it was revoked, leaving many without resources to establish generational wealth. So imagine you've been enslaved for however long, your whole life, and then slavery is finally abolished. You're told that you're going to get at least the 40 acres of land to establish yourself, to have somewhere to build on, to have something to be able to grow so you can make a living for yourself. And basically it's just snatched away. So you literally have to figure it out. And a lot of the enslaved people ended up having to work for the same plantations just for a little bit of money. So that's the beginning of the story of ownership in America for a lot of our ancestors, which again, like I just said, it took away a lot of our setup for generational wealth. Like, we're already 400 years behind based on what everybody else got going on, but now you're starting us below zero. Then we got another historical fact. Of course, we've all heard of Black Wall Street. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Americans built thriving communities, including homeownership and business districts before the 1921 massacre, destroying much of what was built. So you have this thriving city with all these big businesses and homes and all of these things, operating as an independent community, and it was destroyed and taken away. So there's that. I don't like water that sound like soda when it come open. That's all I got right now. Then we have the Homestead Act and exclusion from generational wealth. So while white Americans received land grants through the Homestead Act of 1862, Black families were largely left out, contributing to the racial wealth gap that still exists today. That was 1862. It's 2025. Still dealing with it today. The GI Bill and redlining. After World War II, the GI Bill helped white veterans buy homes and build wealth, while Black veterans were systematically denied those benefits, keeping them from home ownership opportunities. Now, I'm going to have to ask my father more details about how my grandfather was able to get the home that my grandparents, they were able to get a home after he came back from World War II, but I know he worked, and so did my grandmother. So when they divorced, my grandmother, took over the payments and everything, and she did own their home. But of course, it wasn't easy. So I need to know the story about, if they know, like, what they had to go through in order to even own that home back then in the 50s. So some of the modern day challenges, of course, Black home ownership rates remain significantly lower than white home ownership rates due to systemic barriers like loan discrimination, predatory lending, and economic disparities. So this history is important when we talk about home ownership today, because us as millennials, and I'm sure some of the Gen X's and the Gen Z's now, we're seeing that it's not that easy. And, if you're paying attention to what's going on in this country, ownership is not made easy, period. First of all, the rates are extremely expensive. And then you have all these big corporations buying up a lot of the houses. So their goal is to get rid of the middle class, is the rich and the poor, the have and the have-nots, and basically making everybody forever renters, because if you buying up all the houses and all the corporations have all the houses, then you have no choice but to go rent from them. Not saying that that's the only option, and it's, we're not there yet. But it definitely feels challenging. And as a millennial, especially when you start getting out here, going on your self-employed entrepreneurial journey, it does seem like a far-fetched goal, but it definitely feels possible. And you have to stay positive and you have to stay focused on your goals in order to understand and know that that is available for you if you desire it. Which brings me to what I was going to share about my personal healing journey. I'm not going to get too much into it because, personal. But, today's, yesterday, because it's after midnight now, was the 26th, my father's birthday. And I told y'all, I gave him my happy birthday shout out on the show yesterday. Told you all some things that I love about him. And I love my father with all my heart, of course. We've had our challenges in our relationship since I was a child. But over time, working on forgiveness and acceptance and understanding and grace and all of the things, we're pretty good. My dad is a baby boomer. He comes from the boomer generation. So their set of values and their upbringing and their understanding is completely different from millennials. We're definitely different. And like with my dad, he's not online. He's not really up to date with the time. So pretty much all his information is coming from the local news, world news, and maybe my mom, because she talks to him often, or whoever is in his immediate circle of people that he might socialize with. So again, today is his birthday. I called him. We always talk on the 26th of every month, at least, because we call it 2-6 day, because we were both born on the 26th. He's February 26th. I'm July 26th. So oftentimes I want to just, have a conversation, keep it light, talk about something exciting, share some things that I got going on. But my dad doesn't always live in the present. Sometimes he lives in the past a lot and talks about that, or he talks about the things that he's not happy with in the present, like the fact that we don't live in the same state. And I get that. He doesn't like that. But, this is the choice that I made to move to Georgia or whatever. I try to go up there as much as I can. But of course, he's aging. He wants to know that his family is close by and all of that. And I get all that. But today when we talked, I got in my feelings. I didn't really share it with him. I just kind of got emotional and just, I'm not going to say I shut down, but I just got quiet and listened. And then I did get emotional and cried when I got off the phone, because he spends a lot of time talking about, don't you want to own a home? And he doesn't really understand what I do. He doesn't understand that I'm a life coach. He knows that I have a youth program. I do summer camps and stuff like that. So he always be like, oh, you still working with the little girls? And I'm like, yeah. But then when I talk about like life coaching or any other avenues, event curating that I do, event hosting, he calls those projects. Like, are you still working on your projects? Is that lucrative? How are you paying your rent? Mind you, I am. I'm taking care of my business or handling my business. So I understand he's a parent. He's going to be concerned about his child no matter how old I am. But it starts to make you feel like, well, damn, can we talk about something nice? Can we talk about something light? I always want to hear about the fact that I don't have a house yet. I'm 36, and don't you want to own a home? And don't you? I do one day, but honestly, that's not even really my concern right now at this moment. Like right now, I have some things that I'm focused on, and those are my goals, and that's what my tunnel vision is on. But like to tell my dad that he's not going to understand, because he feels like, and all my life has been that way. It's like when I was a child, he like prioritized college education, getting a degree, to the point where I didn't even want to go to college. And I did. Like, I did, but not the way he wanted me to do it. So I'm a little bit of a rebellious soul. And I remember us playing the game of life as when I was a child. And, you know, you can either take I think you could take the school route, or you could take the work business route. And I took the business route, and he didn't like that. But that's what I did in life as well. Like, when I was in high school, I was always an intelligent student. That's a tongue twister. I was always an intelligent student, but I didn't like school. I didn't like I just felt restricted being in classrooms all day and having to be there. And I still feel that way as an adult. Like, being at jobs, having to clock in, be in a building for a certain amount of time, somebody telling you when you can go here, when you can go there, when you could take a break. That's never really resonated with me my whole life. So when I left high school, I'm like, I don't want to get back into get right back into the routine of 4 more years of this, being in the, going to this class, being here, being there. So I chose a different route. But in hindsight, maybe I could have went to a 4-year university, got it over with, and, whatever. It wouldn't have been no big deal. But I already know me, and I know that I wasn't willing to do that. So what I did when I knew what I wanted to do when I got out of high school, I wanted to be a nurse. So my plan was, instead of going to a 4-year university and waiting until I graduated college to become an RN, I'm like, I'm gonna go to trade school, get my LPN, work so I can make some money and move out on my own, and then I'll go to school to get my RN later. So part of the plan worked. When I graduated high school in May, I started my pre-nursing prerequisites in June. So that whole summer, I did my prerequisites. I didn't even tell my dad because I didn't want to be talked out of it. And I knew that he wanted me to go to a 4-year university. And I was just like, I applied on my own. I did what I needed to do, got into school. So towards the end of that semester, me and him had kind of got into it. I told him about school or whatever, and we got into it about something else. And so I moved in with my grandma, probably from that August into that December. So during that time, I was going to school, I was working, and I was saving my money so I can get my first apartment. And I continued to go to school. I started my LPN program. So I graduated high school May of 2006. I believe I started my LPN program maybe spring of 08, so maybe like January of 08, and I graduated summer of 09. And I got so May or June of 09 is when I graduated with my LPN program, took my NCLEX that July 1st, I got approved at the age of 20. And then I think I had started my prerequisites for my RN program. Or BSN program. So I was going to an LPN to BSN program. And the goal there was to be able to work as an LPN while I was getting my RN and my bachelor's degree. But at the same time, I was in a long-term relationship that had its ups and downs, got married, kept taking breaks from school. And by the time I tried to come back and finish, they were like, you want to come back, you got to pay us $5,600 or whatever it was. So I did not finish. And I didn't really desire to finish because I like being an LPN. And then I started my entrepreneurial journey in 2012. So 3 years into nursing, I realized that my goal and my desire was to work for myself. So I kept working as an LPN for 10 years. And then 2019, I did leave my career as a nurse to pursue my entrepreneurship journey full time. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this chewing juice. I'm gonna have to blend this up with something and make it into a smoothie. But I say all that to say, I've always chosen, I don't always choose the path of least resistance. Sometimes I choose a path that might not be straightforward, might not be anybody else's dream for me, might not make sense to everybody else. But those are the paths that I've chosen. And, oftentimes baby boomer parents don't really get it. They don't really want to understand. They're not trying to understand. And so it can be a conflict. So I just wanted to say, for anybody that's dealing with that, and I know a lot of us are because I've seen it on my timeline, millennials dealing with older parents that kind of judge you for your decisions. They don't understand. They compare, you know, whatever. They kind of make you feel like you haven't accomplished enough. And it's just like, I looked up the numbers. Let's just talk about this. The average home price in 1990, when my father was 36, 79,000 to 125,000. And when my dad did own his first home, he was 46, and I know that I think the price of the house was like 165,000 or something like that. He was a victim of predatory lending and an adjustable rate mortgage that got out of control. But the house was under 200,000. The average home price in 2025, when I'm 36, is 400,000. So sometimes they be like, "Why y'all don't have a house?" and this and that, and it's like, y'all was able to get houses for quite a pretty, a cute little price back then. So give us some grace. And then another thing with older parents and parents in general, sometimes you project your dreams and your desires and your plan for your children onto them, or maybe it's things that living vicariously through them or whatever. And it's a lot of pressure. And I feel like, as a parent, I'm not a parent yet, but I'm a child of a parent, two of them. And I had grandparents that contributed to my upbringing as well. But like, my view on parenting is like, you are a guide and you support this being that you have brought earthside on their individual journey in life. And you instill all these things in your child: character, morals, values, standards. um, you know you share your dreams for them. You watch their talents develop. You notice if they have any type of creativity, and sometimes you nurture it, maybe sometimes you don't. But you're really a guide to pour into this person and to support them on their individual journey. It's not, we're not here to live out our parents' dreams or live our parents' lives for them. And sometimes it's just a lot of pressure, and it kind of, how it's just a lot of pressure, and it's just, it's just unfortunate that some parents just can't see how it can make their child feel. So what I wanted to share about healing, I support people on their journey of healing, self-love, and self-discovery, because I've been on my own journey for several years, and I've picked up tools along the way, and I've learned. But one thing about healing is that it's not just a, one and you're done, fix it situation. But what I will say is, when things come up, you're triggered, or you, like my boy Yusuf says, have a sacred opportunity to address a feeling that you may have that may have been ignited by someone else. You have the tools to be able to bounce back from them a little easier, because I'm never going to tell anybody to not feel their feelings. Like how I said, how I felt after I talked to my dad. I cried because it hurt my feelings. Growing up, I felt like I've always had to live up to his expectations. And sometimes you feel like nothing's ever good enough. You're never good enough. You're never approved. They're focusing on what's not right versus what you're doing right. Like, I was like, AB, honor roll student for most of elementary school. And then it's like the first C is like, oh, it's just, I get it. You want your child to be excellent. You want your child to be great. You want them to be amazing. And I'm sure it's not easy when you see them going in a different direction, or when you think that they're failing, or when you think that they're making life harder for themselves. But sometimes you just have to allow your children to fly out the nest and just allow them to see if their wings work without you saying that ain't how to do it. You're not flapping them right. Like, give me a break. Let me try, please. So I will just say that some of the things that helped me on my journey of healing my relationship with my dad, or how I um, handle some of the things that we go through, some of our challenges. The Four Agreements was really a good, helpful tool, because in the Four Agreements, my voice is all out of whack because I've been talking every day. I'm sorry, y'all. The Four Agreements teaches us that we have to unlearn the beliefs that are instilled in us, including those from our parents. I'm not saying everything, but you do have to unlearn and relearn a lot. Some of the things that have been taught to you in the ways that they've been taught to you may not always align with your values and your thought processes as an adult. So being able to do that. And then, of course, one of the Four Agreements is not taking anything personally. So, of course, when sometimes parents or whoever may project things on you, it's usually about their experience and not ours. So just being able to tap into that helps me a lot. Again, I'm never going to tell myself or a client to not feel their feels, because we are human. So even if you're not taking it personally, or you understand, or you have grace, or you're able to look at it through a different lens after healing some of those wounds, if it hurts your feelings, it hurts your feelings. But are you going to stay in that sadness? Is it going to make, like, do I feel like I'm not enough? Absolutely not. Do I feel like because I might not meet his expectations that I'm unworthy or undeserving, or um, incapable of reaching certain goals? Absolutely not. That may have been some struggles that I might have had before I did my healing work, but now it's like, okay, it hurt my feelings. I cried, I released it, pray about it, do whatever I got to do. But I'm not living there. It's not affecting me. It's not harming me to the point where I'm sliding down a wall, like I like to say. And one of the more recent books that I tapped into, I didn't finish it yet, but I will say that it helped me during a really big challenge that me and my dad had a few years ago, where I had to really actively work on some forgiveness. And it's called You Can Overcome Every Obstacle No Matter What by Lisa Nichols. It's 9 steps to living the life you love. And specifically, the first chapter is probably where I stopped. Let me see. Because the tool that she provided, some of the tools that she provided in chapter 1 really helped me with my forgiveness. And there's so many other books that I have and tools. If you want to join my One Single Step at a Time program, I have a lot of tools that support with family, parent-child dynamic and healing in there that are separate from this. And then, of course, the One Single Step at a Time comes with How to Beat Single guided journal. So in there's some tools as well for healing father wounds and mother wounds and all of that. So in chapter 1 is called I want to read it correctly. So chapter 1, what does it say? Oh, that's what it is. It's called Developing Your Understanding Muscle. Some Gifts Come Wrapped in Sandpaper. And she talks about basically not being a victim and creating bounce back muscles and understanding muscles. She has your understanding muscle, your faith in myself muscle, your take action muscle, your I know muscle, your honesty muscle, your say yes muscle, your determination muscle, your forgiveness muscle, and your highest choice muscle. So I'm going to read a couple of things out of this book that was helpful. So on this section of the chapter, it says unpacking your victim bags. When our understanding muscle is weak and we haven't created the space to see the benefit in everything that's happening or that's happened to us, we become a victim of our perceived injustices. We pack our Gucci bags full of coulda, shoulda, woulda, and why. Why did this happen? And unconsciously begin to drag them around with us. Then, with every new situation, every new relationship, on the job, and in our personal lives, we open up those bags and allow all of those old issues and past experiences to interrupt our current flow. We use them as reasons to avoid taking new risks. They become our permission slip to play it safe, which can really mean to stay stuck. So she says a crucial step in developing your understanding muscle is to realize that the events in your past can't be changed. They've already happened. You can't wish them away, cry them away, ignore them away, or even pray them away. The only thing you can change is your understanding of them. Strengthening your understanding muscle allows you to begin not only to accept the past, but even to see that all that you've gone through, all that you've endured had to happen exactly the way it did for you to become the person you are today. Absolutely. And that has definitely helped me. But some of the inspired action steps that she offers. Finding answers, finding peace. All of your experiences, both positive and negative, have helped you to become who you are today. Someone who continues to learn, grow, and move forward. The process of re-examining old experiences and changing your relationship with them so that they no longer have a negative impact on you is called reframing. When you reframe your relationship with your past stories, you'll find you'll have more power in the present. So reframing does help. That is one of my tools. So to start this process, you take a piece of paper and you write down two to four experiences from your past that have caused you a great deal of pain. Excuse me, a great deal of pain, and that still cause you to wonder why they happened to you. When you keep asking the question why and don't find the answer, you remain a captive to the experience and a victim to it. You'll find peace of mind when you have answered all of your own whys. So after each experience, write down the question why in big letters. Now answer each why question that you have asked with honesty and compassion and in a way that honors the truth and honors you. This is the opportunity to claim your power. You can be a victim or you could be a victor. Victor is your choice, or the choice is yours. So it continues to go on with those. And then the second one is move it up to present. Think of something in your life that you're dealing with right now that has you a bit unsettled or perhaps even completely unraveled. In this action step, you're going to find 1 to 3 reasons that this situation may actually be a gift wrapped in sandpaper. So that would be like that conversation I just had earlier with my dad. That would be me asking myself these questions. What am I learning? How is my understanding muscle being built through this situation? How will I be a better person on the other side of this opportunity for me to grow? Okay? And then it's never too late to change your response. The people in our lives are going to say what they say and do what they do. Often we forget that our joy and peace of mind are not determined by others' words and actions, but by how we choose to respond to them. In a challenging or hurtful situation, it's common to react in a way that leaves us feeling damaged, bad, wrong, or guilty. Our power lies in recognizing that each new moment we have the opportunity to make a new choice, a choice that will inspire us and leave us feeling powerful instead of powerless. So then she gets some exercises for that, and then don't try to supersize another person. You can't control others' capacity to give, love, or to understand. Accept that they are doing the best that they can and honor what they are able to do rather than complain what they're not doing. I'm working on it. To transform a relationship, transform yourself. The following exercise should help you dramatically increase the love and gratitude you feel for the people in your life, your parents, siblings, children, friends, and intimate partners. So basically, on a blank sheet of paper, at the top of the page, you write down the name of a person in your life, one person per page. Then below the name, you draw two perpendicular lines that cross in the middle, creating four separate quadrants in the page. So these are the quadrants. I'm not going to read all of it because you got to go get the book if you want the tools, because it's her book. Or you can get some of the tools in my journal, How to Be Single. But you put the name of the person here. The four quadrants are what I love about you, what I choose to embrace about you, what I would miss about you, and what I want to remember about our relationship. So this exercise really did help me when it came to healing, and forgiving and moving forward and being able to understand, like, and by no means am I telling you to be close or forgive or accept somebody that's hurting you purposely or that's toxic or, that you just don't want in your space or in your circle or in your life. That's up to you to decide. But if it's someone who you do choose to continue to have in your life, you got to set those boundaries, of course, and then you also have to manage your emotions around how you're feeling, and that's what the boundaries are for one. But in the case when boundaries are crossed or when things are said that you have no control over, you want to be able to have tools to be able to regulate your own emotions, to make sure that you have that bounce back muscle, that understanding muscle. So that's a great tool as well. So again, anybody that's that is a millennial, we already know we different out here. We are the generational curse breakers. So it ain't as easy for us. We're doing things differently because the way that it's been done ain't always worked. And then a lot of times folks is criticizing us for not having it all together and not having a house to own and all this. Was like, did you make sure that I had my financial literacy on point? Did you make sure I'm not a trust fund baby? I ain't got no type of down payment. Well, my dad would help me with a down payment if I said I needed it right now. But I'm just saying, like, it's not just a matter of, okay, boom, let me go do this. And I'm not saying that it's outlandishly hard, because I'm not going to put that in the universe that it's hard to own a home either. But it's not really nothing that's like super priority for me right now. Because when you own a home, it's not just like, oh, I got a home, I own this, I'm straight for life. You're taking on the maintenance of that home, from the lawn to the plumbing to the, pest control or whatever else you got to deal with. When you're renting, you know what you got to pay. You have a landlord that can come fix things when things ain't working. And, also, I've developed an even greater love for travel. So sometimes I think to myself, I might want to be a damn nomad one day. I might want to just travel the world and not have to be tied down to one location. But that's just something that I'm still deciding, and it's not anything that I feel bad about. But it's like when your dad when he feels bad about it and it's always being talked about every conversation, it's like it's a little draining. So those are the tools that I wanted to share with you all. And just understand, if you have a dynamic with your parents where you've, overcome a lot of things from childhood stuff, just know that sometimes things may still come up in your adulthood. It's not just we've got past this, so now we're good. Like, things may come up, and you do have opportunities to understand, and you give them grace because they are working with what they have, what they were given as well. Sometimes some of these older parents are not great with taking accountability and apologizing and listening and holding space and understanding. But just to look at it from a place of, maybe they're not in their season of being able to do that. Maybe that's just not a tool that they have access to yet. You know, that generation, they don't believe, a lot of them don't believe in therapy and other things that we do. So we're different, and so we have to find ways to understand each other and coexist and love each other through the differences. So that's all I want to share about that. Now I'm gonna get y'all out of my business. So let's get into somebody else's business. I don't know if y'all noticed, Tank, the R&B singer, he put out a challenge. He likes to do these R&B challenges on Instagram. He did the Can We Talk challenge, really just inspiring different artists, R&B artists, gospel singers, whoever can sing, really, to tap into their vocals and their production and their creativity, their pen, and put a verse on a record or to just recreate the sound. Like the Can We Talk was about, the challenge was to sing with your full chest. Can we talk? I ain't doing it, but yeah, that was the challenge then. He's had a couple of other challenges that he's put out, but this one that he recently put out is the Residuals challenge, and it is based off of Chris Brown's single Residuals. And Chris Brown's song is about the emotional, financial, and mental leftovers of a relationship, like what you're left with after someone leaves, and not wanting you to, wondering if you over there, uh, who you giving your time to, and I know you ain't gave them my nickname, stuff like that. So a lot of different artists, R&B, gospel, and just upcoming artists have been shooting they shot at the Residuals challenge and putting their verse on the open verse, the instrumental. And it's been some good ones. I've liked a lot of them. They get in their bag. They put their spin to it. Some of them are adding different production. Most of them are adding their own lyrics. But three of them have stood out to me that I wanted to talk about, that were really very personal, because we've seen them have public relationships or public fallouts, and they really just laid it all out on the track. So the first one I wanted to talk about was Jacob Lattimore. I love me some Jacob Lattimore, actually. I love his music and I love his acting as well. He's on The Chi, and I look forward to The Chi coming back out. I don't know when it's coming back out because they keep getting renewed. It's a great show. Um, so I'm looking forward to that. And to me, sometimes his music is like Chris Brown meets Usher. He has a nice sound. I really like. He came out with an album. I can't remember what it was called. Let me look at my music, because I definitely have the album. C3, the C3 album I really like. And he had a public relationship with the singer and actress Serayah. I think it's Serayah or Serayah. And their relationship began in 2016 when they met at the BET Awards through a mutual friend, Shamik Moore. They started dating in 2019 and maintained a relatively private relationship. And we already knew they were a couple, but they really went viral and really elevated the virality of Money Loan's song Hours and Hours during the pandemic, because they put I don't know, I think Jacob did it, put like a collage of videos on the song, did a reel of Hours and Hours. Yours, mine, ours. Don't mind my voice. I could do this for hours. Sit and talk to you for hours. Yeah. My voice is terrible right now. But so they were really, really, really super cute together. And they have this song on C3 album that I love, called Caught Up. They both sound amazing on the track. And they were super cute together. But they ended up breaking up in 2023. Serayah confirmed it in February of 2023. And basically she said that they had grown apart. So now she is with the rapper and actor Joey Badass. And I think they're super sexy together. Like, as good as she looked with Jacob, she looks even, I ain't gonna say even better, but she looks great with Joey Badass as well. And they are expecting their first child together. But I remember Serayah had put out a song. shortly after their public breakup. And I don't know if it was about him or not, but I'm going to read some of the lyrics. So the song is called, I'm going to have to look it. Hold up. The song is called FBB, and FBB stands for First Bad Bitch. And so the lyrics, damn, it was hard being your first bad bitch. Ooh, couldn't take it, you can't fake it with a bad bitch. Just being honest, ain't no static. Damn, it was hard being your first bad bitch. Okay, boom, boom, boom. First thing, get your shit straight. Never give you time to what? I don't know. They got asterisks through this. I don't know what that word is supposed to be. That's fake. With the missed calls and coming in late, had me looking at you sideways. Although I stayed, show me what it was called, what it was, cause you don't communicate. When you know that the shit, when you know that's the shit that I hate, breaking my back, what a difference I made. How'd you get comfortable and act brand new? Get a bad one and fumble her too. Play around with me, one thing you won't do. Damn, it was hard being your first bad bitch. And then it goes on. Now, again, I don't know if she was referring to him, but it seemed pretty interesting that it came out shortly after they broke up. And let me see when it exactly came out. It came at 2023, which was the year that they broke up. So I don't know if she was alluding to the fact that she was his first bad bee and he didn't know how to handle that. I don't know. But in this residual challenge, Jacob talks about how, he wasn't really ready for what she wanted. He wasn't ready to give her a baby. And he gets very transparent on his verse. So he still was very respectful though. Like he did say something about her, being wet or something like that. But I don't think that was, he had to say all that because, she's in a new relationship. But overall, he respected that she's moved on. And I like the fact that he took accountability for just not being ready for whatever it is that she wanted at the time. So the lesson that we will pull from this situation, because it's not about their business, their personal business, about what we can learn from it. It is important to be able to be mature enough to say, I'm not ready for what it is that you want in this relationship. So instead of me dragging you on and using up all your youth, you know, let's move on or go our separate ways so that you could find what it is that you do need. And I don't know if that's the exact way it happened, but just based on the lyrics that he shared, being mature enough to say that you're not ready to give someone what they desire. And we've talked about this. We talked about it yesterday, even with Neo and what is her name? Neo's ex, Manetta Shaw, when she was convinced to get her tubes tied, knowing that she still wanted children. I don't know, maybe it would have been more of a better decision to either do something temporary like birth control or move on, because maybe you really do desire to have more children. And the fact that he's saying he doesn't, I'm not saying that that's the best option, because you don't want to just break up your family because y'all have a difference of how many kids you want to have. But just in certain instances, you do have to know when the relationship is just not compatible. Um, with somebody wanting a child and the other person not wanting a child, I always say that that's one of those things. If you can go your separate ways before you get in too deep, that would be my suggestion with that. I've seen couples in real life where they get married because one person wants a child, one person doesn't, but the person that doesn't just compromises and say, okay, we don't have to have children. And then they realize once they've gotten in too deep that, damn, I really do want kids. And the other person is standing on business for not wanting it. So it's like, why are you even making that big of a compromise? We saw Jeannie Mai get a divorce from her first husband I don't know all the ins and outs of their divorce, but one of the factors was that she didn't want to have children and he did. As soon as they broke up, he went and had 2 back-to-back children. And then she ended up marrying Jeezy, young Jeezy, and had a child. And then they broke up shortly after. So not only did she become a mother, but now she's a single mother. So you really just, again, I always tell y'all, you got to be honest about what you want. And in relationships, being mature enough to be able to say, okay, we love each other, we want to make it work, but our values just on the line. So maybe next lifetime. I don't know. Another artist that has done the Residual challenge that I just saw her video today is Georgia Rain. And Georgia Rain is a Grammy nominated singer and songwriter. And she is the ex-girlfriend of Michael Blackson, the comedian. So Michael Blackson is a comedian known as the African King of Comedy, and Grammy nominated songwriter Georgia Rain began their relationship in the mid 2010s. Their romance progressed quickly after only a few weeks of dating. They moved in together and appeared as a couple on the Oxygen reality series Living with Funny in 2016. In March of 2017, Blackson proposed to Rain and they became engaged. However, their engagement was short-lived, ending in September of 2017 after approximately 5.5 months. The breakup was reportedly due to infidelity on Blackson's part, which Rain publicly addressed. Following their split, both individuals moved on to new relationships. They say she was rumored to have dated rapper Takeoff, though she clarified that they were just friends. And Blackson was linked to singer Ashanti. That's news to me. But those rumors were also dismissed. And in July of 2021, after Blackson announced his engagement to another woman, Rain responded by asking people to stop tagging her in the posts about him, stating she had moved on and wished him well. And this relationship that Michael Blackson is currently in, I think she's an Asian woman. They have been open about having, I won't say it's an open relationship because I don't think it's open on both ends, but he gets hall passes or he's able to be with whoever he want to be with sexually. That's their dynamic in their relationship. And now she's pregnant as well. So in the Residuals challenge, Georgia Rain is talking about a little bit of her relationship with Michael Blackson, talking about how she gave him 5 years of her life. She helped him even with writing his jokes and helping him with his career and just being there for him, helping him with his children. And she's basically alluding to the fact that a lot of the rift between them was because she wasn't down with threesomes and freak-offs and all of that. So folks is getting real transparent on these Residual songs. And, you know, songwriting, poetry, rapping, all of that, singing is therapeutic, like putting it on the track, writing it out. These are methods of healing, modalities of healing that people tap into as well. And people are being real about what they've been through. So she said it's the last time she's planning on addressing it. And, you know, I'm sure she gets tired of being connected with him because it's been a while since they broke up. It's been, what was that, over 5, 6, 7 years? So, you know, sometimes you just get attached to one person and it continues to you know, people continue to tag you in things and ask you about things. And every relationship that we have is very impactful. So whatever it is that she went through with him, it may still be significant in her life. And she shared what she shared. And she said she ain't talking about it no more. She even put a mother sucker at the end of the song. So again, you have to know your boundaries when it comes to these relationships. And that was a boundary for her. You know, yeah, you a successful comedian and actor. You got a little money. She got her bag too, I'm sure. But I'm not willing to bring another woman into our relationship. I'm not willing to accept you going out getting other women, having sexual relationships with them. And that was her boundary. So she stood on it. she let him go and he found somebody that would accept it. So again, knowing your core values is so important. And that's why you have to sit down with yourself and ask what those are so you know how to set your boundaries. Because if you don't know what's important to you, what you value, where are you basing the boundaries off of? What are you basing the boundaries off of? So the third one that I wanted to talk about of the residual challenge is LaTocha Scott, formerly of Escape. She dropped her residual challenge today, and she wasn't. Not only was she talking about a relationship, she also brought up her relationship with her sister and with the group Escape. So if you can recall, a few years back, um, Escape did a reality show with SWV, and it was about them coming together to create a tour. First and foremost, having one initial show before they decided to go on tour. So it gave like the behind the scenes process of that. And during this reality show, there was a lot of tension between LaTocha Scott and the rest of the ladies of the group, including her own sister, Tamika Scott. And according to them, Tamika Scott, because Tiny's name is Tamika as well. But Tamika Scott has always, rolled for her sister LaTocha no matter what, right, wrong, or indifferent. She's always taken her sister's side, but it's almost like she might have done some healing work so that she could, you know, go with right or wrong and what aligned with her personal values rather than just, I'm going to go with my blood. Um, so it showed a lot of their family dynamics too. Tamika Scott ended up confronting LaTocha Scott, accusing her and her husband, Rocky, I think his name is Rocky Bivens, um, yeah, of basically stealing some of her money from um, residuals, as we're talking about residuals, um, different things that she was getting checks for. I think they were somehow getting them sent to their address, or somehow they were collecting the money. And it was thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. So might have been like 25,000, something like that. So when she confronted her sister about it, um, she completely denied it. And then their mother got involved, and their mother automatically took LaTocha's side. So Tamika just felt like she wasn't being heard. Her mom was automatically, telling her that she was wrong and she's jealous of LaTocha. So it was just a lot of mess. And then it also trickled into the relationship with the other group members. I think LaTocha and Candy have had issues in their relationship before. Tamika and Candy have had issues as well, but they were able to resolve them. But for whatever reason, LaTocha started like not showing up to certain things. They were presented with an award. I think it was a Soul Train award, and they all showed up dressed alike. LaTocha showed up separately, dressed in a totally different design and color. So you could see that there was drama and mess going on in their group. They felt like her husband was brainwashing her and just not good for her or for her group, but she was riding with her husband regardless. Then it came out that her husband had a mistress and she was allegedly pregnant. So it was just a lot of mess. And at the end of all of it, she fell out with her sister Tamika, and then she was no longer a part of the Escape group. Escape has been touring without her, and she actually went on to do put out a gospel album. I don't think it did that great, but she had been putting out her gospel album and doing shows, sometime even singing Escape songs. And it just didn't seem like her career was going in the direction that she thought it would as a solo artist. And then, of course, she was being judged by the public based on what came out in that reality show. And everybody kind of leaned towards Tamika Scott's side, as well as the other group members of Escape. And they felt like LaTocha Scott wasn't taking any accountability, wasn't being honest, was picking her man over everybody. So she dropped her residual verse today. She put her spin to it, and she addressed everything. She's saying that 30 years down the drain of her marriage, because they've been split for 2 years now, she's talking about how, she hasn't talked to her sister and how she feels bad about that, and they're going to have some words to reconcile that. And then, of course, she talked about being kicked out of her group. I don't know if they kicked her out per se or if she decided to leave. I don't know what the dynamics are of that, but according to her, she was kicked out. So she laid it all out. And it seems like she's hurting. It seems like she is going through the grief of losing her marriage. Not my stomach growling. The grief of losing her marriage and also her relationship with her sister and her group mates. And I'm sure, whatever her success is like in her career, I'm sure that's painful as well if it's not going in the direction that she thought it would. And then, she's being very transparent on the track. So, of course, I think that she definitely means it. I could see that she's in pain. Um, and it seems like she's trying to extend an olive branch, but a lot of people are saying that she's still not taking accountability. She's still not admitting her wrongs. She needs to apologize to her sister and pay her back the money that was owed or stolen. So, all I will say is that they putting it out there on them residual tracks. But I will say that um, those family dynamics when it comes to being married or being in a relationship with someone who either doesn't like your family, excuse my stomach, y'all, I need to go eat, that doesn't like your family or your family doesn't like who you're with, especially when you're married. It's one thing for your folks to not like your boyfriend or your girlfriend, but when you're married, that is really challenging to navigate when you love somebody and you've chosen to be with them, and then this is the people that you love and you grew up around and you have an attachment to, and you all have distance in your relationship because they don't like who you're with. So at that point, you really have to figure out how to balance that. Are you, of course, people, you're supposed to um, align with your partner's whatever decisions you all make together. But on the flip side, that doesn't mean disown your family if they can't get along. So I just feel like you have to find balance, like, and you have to set your foot down too when it comes to that. Like, make sure that there's no disrespect on either end. Make sure they're not putting you in the mess or putting you between certain things. Being able to maintain your relationship and pour into and nurture both relationships without it being a conflict. Like, of course, um, not just saying I'm not going to deal with my family because my man don't like them or vice versa. Finding a way to nurture the relationships in your life and balance it and figuring it out if you care to do that. But those are the decisions that you have to make. And again, it goes back to knowing your core values, being able to set your boundaries, being able to set boundaries with family and with spouse, because one of the boundaries that I have is I don't tolerate any disrespect of my mother. Not my father either, but my mother is just such a sweetheart and so loving and caring and nurturing and just doesn't hurt nobody. If the man I'm with call himself disrespecting my mama, that's a deal breaker for me. I've experienced it before and I shut it down immediately. And it was not even directly disrespectful to her in her face. It was something that he said that was disrespectful about her. No, we're not doing that. And then, of course, you have family members that may think that they can disrespect who you're with when you feel like it's unwarranted. Not that disrespect is ever warranted, but if they're saying something that's outlandish or out of pocket, you gotta set that straight too. So it's hard. I ain't gonna say it's hard work, but it takes some work to manage these relationships in your life and make sure you're not lowering your standards or letting people cross the line on your boundaries or overstep your boundaries. So you can do it. I swear you can. It's challenging, but you got to do it. And with what I've shared about me and my dad's relationship, I know some people might say like, well, have you communicated how whatever he says has made you feel? Yeah. I definitely have. And sometimes the best communication is just me taking the time to listen and not have to always defend and respond. And sometimes opportunities come up for us to talk about it later, and sometimes they don't. But I learned a long time ago that sometimes you have to heal from what someone else has done or what someone else has said without their contribution. Like, you might not get an apology, you might not be understood, whatever it is, but you have to be able to understand the best ways to handle certain things. And sometimes the best conflict resolution is silence. Not the silent treatment, but just listening to understand and not to respond. Sitting with the emotions that come up with what you've heard, and then going towards the next step, which could be maybe you feel it, you let it go. Maybe you need to sit in prayer. Maybe you need to go exercise and get that energy out and let it go and release it. Maybe you need to journal. Maybe you need to do one of these exercises I shared with you earlier. Um, Figuring out what it is that you need to do to be able to move forward and not have that, not internalize those feelings, or allow it to take you off your square. So let me give you all some journaling prompts. But before I do that, actually, again, I want to tell you to make sure you visit oshacerese.com to enroll in a program. The healing workshop is one single step at a time. It was initially designed for singles to go on their healing journey of self-discovery, self-love, intentional dating, all of those things while they are still single. But I've had people do it when they're in a relationship. I've had people do it when they're in the middle of a breakup. And it is very much healing work, inner child healing, healing the going through your past relationships and unpacking all of the trauma or things that you may have gone through in those relationships so you won't keep lugging those bags to each relationship going forward. Um, Definitely doing some shadow work, discovering who you are, what you like, what you want, and lots of other things that I don't always tell you all, but you have self-love exercises. It's guided. You work on your plan of action for the future, keep you accountable. Guided comes with coaching as well, and it comes with the free How to Beat Single guided journal. Also, you can enroll into one single step at a time. I just told you about that. You can enroll in 5 ways in 5 days. That is the self-love workshop. Excuse my voice, y'all. Self-love workshop, teaching you how to utilize your love languages into your daily acts of self-love and self-care, and also how to uncover any blockages you may have in um, receiving or giving love. So that's 5 ways in 5 days. You can do it in as little as 5 days, hence the name, or you could take up to 60 days, and that comes with a free coaching session. You also, if you want to just grab the journal, How to Beat Single, that's on my website as well. $20, and it gives you a lot of the healing tools that you would get in the programs as well. If you are a hopeful, romantic, and intentional dater, you're looking to find love in 2025, make sure you are also a part of the Intentional Love Collective. That is the growing database and community that allows me to curate some special singles events, speed dating events, matchmaking possibilities that are personal to you and your values, your interests, and your desires. So the Intentional Love Collective can be found in the link in my bio. I'm updating my website, so it'll be on there soon as well. And again, just look around, see what you like. You might find something interesting on my website. Just look around. And you can always book a session, book a free discovery call. And that discovery call will allow me to find out how I can best serve you. So again, the first session is free. Get your free discovery call. And I may direct you to enroll in a course, or we may set up just one-on-one coaching sessions. Or I may just suggest that you just go ahead and grab you a journal, because that's all you need for right now. So those are your options with that. Again, the Intentional Love Collective, you can find the link in my bio. And make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. That's where this show lives. That's where all the other episodes that you may have missed are. You can catch up. They're under my live videos. The link is in my bio to follow me on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is youtube.com/@Osha Cerese, OSHACERESE. Don't just subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll know when I'm popping up with these shows. And then also, if you would like to write me for something that you want me to unpack on the show, if you have a topic idea, if there's something that you would like to see me discuss, feel free to email me, oshacerese@gmail.com. That's OSHACERESE@gmail.com. You can email me. I can talk about whatever it is that you want to unpack anonymously on the show. Any feedback, questions, concerns, you can email me there. Outside of that, let me give you all a couple of journaling prompts and we will wrap this thing up. So based on what we talked about today, we talked about ownership in the Black history over the years. We talked about the dynamics between boomer parents and millennial parents and healing some of those challenges that we may have with being misunderstood or being, having a lot of pressure put on us for certain things. And we also talked about residuals, the challenge, and some of the topics that some of these artists have been putting on the track and how we can learn from them. So my journaling prompts for you: what expectations has your family placed on you that no longer align with your reality? What expectations has your family placed on you that no longer align with your reality? This goes hand in hand. How do you balance respecting your parents while living life on your own terms? How do you balance respecting your parents while living life on your own terms? I already shared one of mine, and one of mine is taking the time to just listen and not always rebuttal and prove and respond and get offended and explain. Just listen. And then the last one I'll say is, have you ever taken responsibility for healing even when the other person doesn't acknowledge the hurt? Have you ever taken responsibility for healing even when the other person doesn't acknowledge the hurt? I've been talking every day straight for 26 days, y'all. My voice is like, hold up. We might have some tea tomorrow on tomorrow's show. I told y'all, this juice I made earlier, I'm going to have to blend this up into a smoothie because the blueberries and the beets together is giving, I don't even know if y'all can see the texture of this, but I literally had to chew. I ain't going to be able to show it to you. I had to chew it. It's so thick. I can't do it. It tastes good, but that texture, baby. But again, thank you all for tuning in to the Osha Cerese Show. I appreciate y'all holding space for me tonight because I had to be a little vulnerable today. And my energy was a little off. But I appreciate you all for being a place where I can be myself and share healing, self-discovery, self-love, and intentional dating tips and experiences with you, because I'm on this journey with you all as well. So as I collect the tips and the tools and the remedies and the best modalities, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to share them with you. And again, I'm Osha Cerese, certified life coach, event curator, and dream doula. Make sure you tap in with me. And I forgot to tell you also, outside of my services for healing and self-love, self-discovery, and intentional dating, if you are an influencer, a creative, a business owner, somebody with some ideas and you need to find out how to utilize and monetize those gifts that you have, you just don't know where to start, or maybe you need some support on a content strategy, or maybe you need some support with digital products like courses and ebooks, I also do that as well. On my website, oshacerese.com, that you see scrolling across the screen, you can go to content strategy, the content strategy tab, fill out the form, pay your payment, and after that one strategy call, I guarantee you, you're going to be able to make you some money. So get with me. I'm going to talk to y'all later. I'm about to go do my yoga. So cheers. That's another little exciting win I can share with y'all I've been doing. I'm back on my mat, return of the mat. And this is day, what is it? Maybe day 5? I think it's day 5 of yoga. I've returned. So thank you all for this amazing episode. I will see y'all tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure those notifications are on. I'm going to make sure I bring my voice, I hope. I love y'all. Talk to you later. Good night.